What do you think is the biggest challenge in scaling a culture of experimentation and innovation?
So I think that there's one danger is definitely the sort of like not knowing how to say no, not knowing how to kill things, how to stop things, right? Like because the extreme of this is that hey, we're all going to experiment like crazy. Everyone's going to be doing stuff, right? And we don't keep very good tabs on it. We don't understand, what's successful and so forth. So I think that's definitely one part of it.
And how
I
do you
think
how do you get around that? Because let's say that you have so many different ideas, and like you said, you've got to prioritize these. But who actually makes the decision on productizing or going an extra step?
yeah. So I think that this is something that a lot of organizations struggle with. I think that there's a couple of things. One is that even when organizations, when they're small and they try to sort of avoid having some structure around this, like, the extreme in a large organization is that they will have very rigid top down structures. Like, let's say there's going to be like some weekly directors meeting or whatever it might be, and they're going to review every single thing, right? And the other extreme of that, of course, is that you have no structure whatsoever. What I see is a lot of the small organizations they try to avoid having anything like that, but eventually they do realize that they have to have some. It's basically trying to find the balance between the top down and the bottom up decision making. Right? There has to be some balance in there. It can't be just one or the other. And then I think the other thing is figuring out like how you actually measure, like what are the metrics that we all agree on that we're going to use to judge the success of something. And I think another thing that's really important is that in order to speed things up, and this goes back to sort of the balance at the top down and bottom up, you don't just uh, you don't just rely on top down inspection or review or decision making to stop things or correct things, right? What you want teams that are auto correcting, right? That have enough awareness that hopefully they realize before it has to go up to, you know, a senior person that, oh, something is wrong here. We should perhaps abandon this. This is not working, whatever the case may be. So again, that sort of comes back to a bit of awareness and giving people the tools to sort of understand that, like, okay, here's how you would measure something, and if it looks like this, that's probably not a good thing.
Mm. There's certain processes that you would definitely put in place for a company like Shopify as it does scale to 500 to 5,000 employees.
Yeah, so I think definitely having in the beginning, even with most small organizations, if they don't have any kind of, and I'll use the word project management, even though that for some people is not a word that they want to hear, but you have to have some structure. You even at least have to have some common language around how you discuss what is a project or whatever the heck you're going to call it, initiative, whatever, right? Like what is the scope of, like, the unit of work, and how do we organize around that, and doing it in such a way that you don't force people. You don't say, okay, well, every team must have, this person, this kind of person, and this kind of person, right? You say every team must be, ideally, in order to be successful, they should have a balance of, right, and they should have, um, a balance of experience and a balance of skills and perspectives and so forth. So you're giving people that sort of the guidance, and then hopefully they're making good decisions based on that guidance. So I think one of the things that's important is that getting away from like the rigid, like one size fits all. This will always work, and it's hard because some organizations, like, people, they'll ask a question and they want like a simple answer, and often the answer is not that simple, right? Often the answer really is truly it depends, and it doesn't mean that you can't give any answer, but it means that it's often better just to give guidance and to give principles upon which you make decisions, rather than trying to give like solutions all the time.